Another day, another car video. Let's talk about Hashimoto's and the side effects causing us to get misdiagnosed with certain mental health disorders. Just a disclaimer, I'm not a doctor or a medical professional. All my videos are just my personal experience, and I speak on them because I am hoping to reach a community of people who are going through similar side effects and similar things, so we can all come together and not feel so crazy during this whole Hashimoto's journey. So without further ado, let's jump into our video. I just wanted to remind everybody that I'm not here as a professional. I'm here as somebody going through it with my own experiences. So let's get into it. This lighting is just perfect. I say sarcastically. Anyways, let's jump in. Does anybody ever have mood swings so up and down that you feel crazy, like you feel like clinically insane? Sometimes I feel like that, so I'm not sure if anybody else feels like that. If you could express and tell me if you've ever felt like that, so I don't feel so alone. I could be alone, I don't know. But today we're going to talk about misdiagnoses that I've had with Hashimoto's. So I started therapy a few years ago, and one thing my therapist had told me was that she believed I was showing signs of like severe ADHD, which I've already known since I was like a kid. Like my doctor always told me. But as we unraveled through my life, and as we unraveled through my trauma and my childhood and what's happened to me as a kid, she started to realize, oh, this is not ADHD, this is some severe trauma. And then I started seeing my physician more and getting more in depth with my Hashimoto's, and I brought up to my therapist that I have Hashimoto's. And she was like, I really wish you would have brought that up a long time ago, because a lot of mental health disorders have been misdiagnosed to people because they've got things like Hashimoto's, and they need to do things like heal their gut and heal their childhood trauma. Because when you have Hashimoto's, you can show signs of things like ADHD, anxiety, depression, all these things. And so if you're seeing like a psychologist or a therapist, now I know. I don't know if I'm alone in this. I didn't know before. Hashimoto's is like a first thing you should bring up. Like, hey, I have a physical condition. I have Hashimoto's, because a lot of the side effects are like anxiety, depression, they mimic ADHD. Like, there's so much. And so I'm going on this whole gut healing journey, medication for my Hashimoto's, everything, so that I can really see if because I could very well have ADHD. It does run in my family. So we're going through this whole journey together, and we're gonna figure out if I just have Hashimoto's and the side effects are severe, or if I've got Hashimoto's and ADHD, which would suck. But yeah, so that's my own personal experience with it. So yeah. Okay, so a couple things to know about me that add on to my Hashimoto's, and I really want to know if anyone else goes through this, because if you do, I would love to be friends, and I would love to know, is I have besides my best friend, pretty sure she and I have the same DNA. So I have got binge eating disorder, and I will do really good for a long time, and then I will binge eat. And it's hard for me to admit, because I want to just have the least amount of things wrong with me possible. But there are, like, it's a time in my life right now where I'm admitting things. I'm coming to terms with who I am. I'm coming to terms with what I want to do. And I still have flaws mentally that I'm working on. My glasses are wearing. And there's a lot, that adds on to my Hashimoto's. So I have binge eating problems. I also have severe childhood trauma that I'm working through. But that actually aids in a lot of, gut healing and stuff like that I should be doing to aid in it. But there's things that add on to my Hashimoto's, and things that have caused my Hashimoto's, because I have found out that Hashimoto's isn't just something passed down by families. I think it can be, but a lot of the time, if you've got childhood trauma, if you yo-yo diet at a young age, a lot of things lead to Hashimoto's. I am finding out. A lot of you probably already know this, and you're like, yeah, okay. But this is my journal, this is my journey. And for me, I've almost been misdiagnosed before, and I want to know if any of you have almost ever been misdiagnosed, or if you have been misdiagnosed and how that went, because I want to know how many people are out there that are still misdiagnosed. They don't know about Hashimoto's. They don't know a lot. There's not a lot of awareness out there for it, which is why I'm here. And, you know, I'd like to know who else feels those symptoms. For me, the biggest thing was that right out of high school, when I found out I thought I just had depression because I gained 100 pounds right out of high school. I mean, I was 19 finding out I had Hashimoto's, and I was like, what is this? And now I'm here a decade later at 29, and I'm like, I'm still figuring out what it is. And I hate that everybody's different, because it's hard to relate to people, because some people with Hashimoto's can have dairy. They can have, you know, whatever. Gluten is pretty unanimous. It's a pretty big one that if you have Hashimoto's, your doctor wants you to cut out. But I personally should not be having gluten, dairy, soy, or caffeine. I can give up a lot of things. Having a toddler and giving up caffeine is very hard. So caffeine's hard for me. But I'm slowly trying to ease myself into not binge eating right now. And after that, I will be easing myself into no gluten, dairy, soy, and no caffeine. Maybe on the caffeine. But for me, it's just everything that aids in it, with like the binge eating and the childhood trauma. Those are the two main things I'm working on this year. Getting my binge eating under control and my childhood trauma, and getting on Armour so that you all can see my journey with Armour. Also, I struggle with mood swings, like, as a huge side effect. And for me, it's always been so hard to manage my mood swings. It's like, for the women out there, it's like I'm PMSing all the time. And then when I am PMSing, it's like pregnancy mood swings. Like, it's so bad. And so it's like, I don't even know when it's happening. If I'm having a disagreement with somebody, I will be like, I am in the right. And then I'm like, maybe I'm not, later on, after I've had time to think about it. So I've really had to learn to take a step back and think about things before I respond. And because it's nobody else's fault that I'm having these, besides, you know, it's my job to heal myself. And so when I'm very mindful of it. So when I'm having a bad day, I'm mindful. I have a 3-year-old. I have a beautiful, beautiful 3-year-old best friend. And sometimes he'll be really cute in the store. Like, he'll be jumping around, all happy, and he's not doing anything wrong. He's just excited to be there with me. And it's annoying to me because I'm like overstimulated already, and I'm like at my wit's end with life. But I'm very mindful that it's not his fault. He's just the sweetest little thing. And I'm very good at like regulating my emotions around when it comes to my mood swings. He knows there's emotions. When I cry and I'm sad, I tell him I'm sad, but it's okay to be sad. And, you know, we know that. But I don't like snap at him. I try not to. But like with my family and my friends, sometimes it's hard for me to realize, like, hey, humble yourself. You're not always right. And I don't know if anyone else goes through that. I'm also very self-aware. So my friends won't even notice it. And I'll be like, I'm so sorry I did this. And they're like, what do you mean? So yeah, those are kind of two big ones for me. I really want to know if any of you guys have ever been misdiagnosed. I've almost been misdiagnosed. And if any of you have ever had those mood swing symptoms, or if you guys struggle with binge eating disorder or anything like that, let me know in the comments if there's any of you watching. That was really all I had for today. I will be back on Wednesday with a fun video with makeup, or like a try on haul, or groceries, or food. I want to try a recipe. Maybe I'll do a recipe or a makeup. I think I want to do a makeup week this week because I have some Halloween-y ideas, but I want to do some recipes too. But for anybody that's just here for my Hashimoto's, I will see you next Monday with another new video.